Welcome back to Klepper's Corner. Today in history. March 22nd is one of those dates that proves history doesn't politely schedule itself one event at a time. No, history likes to multitask aggressively. Empires fall before breakfast, revolutions warm up before lunch, and by dinner, someone has invented either a new form of government or a new way to watch cat videos. The recurring theme of March 22nd is power. Who controls it, who challenges it, and who accidentally creates an entirely new industry while trying to solve a completely different problem. From Roman emperors discovering the dangers of poor employee morale, to revolutions sparked by taxes on paper, to the invention of cinema, which eventually gave us both documentaries and reality television. This day reminds us that progress and chaos often arrive as a bundled package. Segment 1. Empires, coups, and the fragility of power. On March 22nd in 235 AD, Roman Emperor Severus Alexander discovered that workplace dissatisfaction surveys in the Roman army often ended with significantly more stabbing than anticipated. His assassination triggered the crisis of the 3rd century, a 50-year stretch where Rome burned through emperors faster than modern streaming services burn through limited series. When the people with swords decide leadership needs a change, the transition plan tends to skip the committee stage. The Roman army essentially pioneered the hostile takeover, except instead of buying shares, they just declared themselves management. Jump forward to 1739, when Persian ruler Nader Shah sacked Delhi and demonstrated that economic stimulus can sometimes look suspiciously like stealing an empire's entire treasury and redecorating your palace with it. The Mughal Empire's financial collapse accelerated global power shifts and opened doors for European colonial expansion, which is history's way of saying when one empire stumbles, another empire starts packing luggage. Empires rarely collapse quietly. They usually collapse loudly, expensively, and with several people insisting everything is totally under control right up until the moment it absolutely isn't. Segment 2. Religion, law, and the original comment section arguments. In 1312, Pope Clement V dissolved the Knights Templar, an organization so wealthy and influential they basically invented multinational banking centuries before anyone thought to charge overdraft fees. The Templars became powerful enough that kings owed them money, which is historically one of the fastest ways to become unpopular with kings. Suddenly, accusations of corruption appear, investigations begin, and before long, your organization is being forcibly restructured out of existence. In 1621, philosopher Hugo Grotius escaped imprisonment hidden inside a book chest, proving that sometimes the most important legal reforms begin with a very creative exit strategy. Grotius would go on to help shape the foundations of international law, because nothing motivates legal innovation quite like personally needing better laws. Meanwhile, in 1638, Anne Hutchinson was banished from the Massachusetts Bay Colony for challenging religious authority, demonstrating that asking too many questions has historically been viewed as suspicious behavior. Institutions often claim to value free thought, right up until someone actually tries it. Hutchinson's banishment ultimately contributed to the development of religious freedom in America, which just goes to show that sometimes being told to leave results in founding an entirely new set of rules somewhere else. Segment 3. Colonies, revolutions, and taxation rage. On March 22, 1765, the British Parliament passed the Stamp Act, taxing printed materials throughout the American colonies, and accidentally inventing a new national hobby: organized complaining about taxes. The act affected everything from newspapers to legal documents, essentially placing a surcharge on literacy itself. Colonists responded by forming protest groups, organizing boycotts, and discovering that shared frustration can be an extremely effective networking tool. The phrase, "no taxation without representation," became the 18th century equivalent of a viral hashtag. Meanwhile, in 1792, the Haitian Revolution continued reshaping the global understanding of human rights, as formerly enslaved people organized military resistance that challenged the economic foundations of colonial power. The revolution demonstrated that Enlightenment ideals about liberty were not just philosophical suggestions, but demands that people were willing to fight for. History repeatedly shows that when systems rely on inequality, those systems eventually encounter individuals who are extremely motivated to redesign them. Segment 4. Technology, media, and the birth of watching screens constantly. On March 22, 1895, the Lumiere brothers introduced projected motion pictures to a small audience in Paris, unintentionally launching an industry that would eventually produce everything from artistic masterpieces to videos of people dramatically reacting to breakfast cereal. Their first film simply showed workers leaving a factory, which remains relatable content even today. Humanity has always been interested in watching other humans leave work. In 1960, the first patent for the laser was granted, enabling innovations ranging from eye surgery to barcode scanners to extremely enthusiastic presentations involving red dots. Decades later, in 1993, Intel released the Pentium processor, dramatically increasing computing power and paving the way for the Internet age, where humanity could share knowledge instantly and also argue about everything instantly. Technological progress consistently improves communication speed, but not necessarily communication quality. Segment 5. War, Human Rights, and Institutional Power. March 22, 1933, marked the arrival of the first prisoners at Dachau, the first Nazi concentration camp, representing one of the darkest demonstrations of how administrative systems can be weaponized against vulnerable populations. History often shows that bureaucracy itself is neutral, but the intentions behind it determine whether it builds infrastructure or dismantles humanity. Later, on March 22, 1972, the Equal Rights Amendment passed the U.S. Senate, representing a major effort to constitutionally guarantee gender equality. Though ratification ultimately fell short, the vote symbolized the continuing struggle to align legal frameworks with social ideals. Progress is rarely immediate and often involves repeated attempts to move institutions closer to their stated principles. Segment 6. Environment, Disasters, and Reality Checking Humanity. March 22nd is also recognized as World Water Day, highlighting the importance of sustainable access to clean water, a resource so fundamental that entire civilizations have risen or fallen based on their ability to manage it effectively. Throughout history, natural disasters occurring on this date, from destructive tornado outbreaks to catastrophic landslides, demonstrate that despite technological advancement, humanity remains deeply connected to environmental forces that cannot be negotiated with or regulated through legislation. Nature does not respond to political messaging, economic forecasts, or strategic planning meetings. It simply continues operating according to physical laws that humans are still learning to respect. In conclusion, March 22nd reveals a recurring pattern throughout history. Institutions form, power concentrates, resistance emerges, and innovation changes the playing field entirely. Empires attempt permanence. Revolutions challenge authority. Technology reshapes communication, and societies repeatedly renegotiate the balance between control and freedom. Each event on this date reflects humanity's ongoing attempt to organize itself more effectively, while simultaneously discovering new ways to complicate that effort. History does not simply move forward. It adapts, reacts, and occasionally reinvents itself in ways no one fully predicts. March 22nd reminds us that every era believes its challenges are unprecedented, yet the themes remain remarkably familiar. The tools evolve, the systems change, but the story continues to revolve around power, survival, creativity, and the persistent human habit of learning lessons slightly slower than we would prefer.